So this video today is specifically for anyone and everyone who has been maybe manifesting for a long time, or has, whatever, that's a subjective thing to say, long time, or has been affirming a lot and hasn't seen any changes, or maybe the changes have been negative, or simply has just been doing a lot of manifestation types things, but is not seeing any results. This video today is for you. And before we jump into it, my name is Genevieve. On my channel here, we talk all about manifestation, in particular, law of assumption, but I also have my own interpretations or things that I've added into what I understand of law of assumption, just based off my own experience of manifesting, especially my own experience of struggling with manifesting. So I just had to throw that in there in case you ever hear me say something and you're like, oh, that's not Neville Goddard. Well, it's something that supplements and is very much supportive of law of assumption if you have that judgment of me. And before we really get into it, I will say that, of course, there are always links in the description below of ways that you can work with me if you want to do a personal session about your situation. I also have a guided meditation for those of you who are manifesting a male SP. I also have a link to my ASMR channel where I do energy healing. I no longer do much on that channel, but sometimes that kind of stuff can be supportive to you as a manifester. I also, so if you're watching this video like right as I put it out, the link might not be there yet, but it will be added. I am working on, I have a lot of courses actually, but typically when I launch a course, it's live, kind of live, in that like I launch it and we all do it together, and then once it's done, you can't do it again until the next time I launch it. I'm changing that so that you can now just buy the course when you want it and just do it at your own pace. So the link to my self-concept course, which is like the truly foundational course I think everyone needs when it comes to manifesting. It's a 31-day course that will be linked below. If it's not linked there yet, again, it will be. If you're watching this like the first day this video comes out, the link might not be there, but check back. I'm going to add that link to all my videos. So that is also a thing. So just be on the lookout for that. And all right, I think that's it. So let's get into this. Why aren't your affirmations working? Well, there's two big things that I want to hit on. But the first thing, we're gonna ease you into the second thing by starting with the first thing. And that is the reminder that it is never, ever a technique that is doing jack. It's not doing jack. The technique itself, whether it's affirming, visualizing, a meditation, scripting, whatever, or a technique you make up, because you can make up techniques, which actually can be a great thing to do, but it's never the technique itself that is shifting your reality. You're applying a technique because you're deepening your own saturation, your own belief, your own conviction in the thing that the technique is saying. So obviously when it comes to affirming, you're saying a statement, but it is the you behind the thing you're saying that is manifesting. It's not just saying the affirmation a million times and then it's like it goes out into the universe and casts a spell on the person or the thing that you're wanting to manifest. Instead, when you're affirming, you're doing it from the state that you want to continue to be in, if that makes sense. You're doing it in a state of conviction of like, okay, I'm going to say these affirmations because I am claiming right now that these things that I'm saying are absolutely real. And it's like the state that I'm in is like, whoa, these things are real. I'm revising reality right now. And the me that's saying them is in a state of trust and belief and really knowing, wow, I'm saying this thing and it's like really real. I want you to, if you're going to affirm or use any technique, because you also, spoiler alert, you don't even have to use a technique to manifest, but that's another thing that we'll get to. But if you are employing a technique to help you manifest, I want you to go into it in the right headspace first. I want you to ask yourself, before you even start affirming or doing whatever technique, I want you to pause and ask yourself, who am I being right now? Who is the me behind this need to affirm, or behind this desire to affirm, or behind this action of affirming? Because often The you that's behind the affirming is maybe quite anxious, and maybe you're affirming, but you're affirming from an assumption that says, if I don't affirm, I'm not going to get it. And I need to affirm 1,000 times a day or else it's not going to happen. That is what's manifesting. The affirmations are null and void, because what's actually manifesting is your state behind the way you're using the affirmations. Does that make sense? You can't answer me, but I'm still going to ask you occasionally if it makes sense. And I see this a lot in people where they think that it's just the affirmation, just the thing that they're doing that is doing all the work. But it's really the actual state you're in and how the affirmations are affecting and deepening that state that you're in. So if you're going into affirming 1,000 times a day and the state you're in behind it is either anxious, fearful, pushing, that's also another common one, people who are like pushing to control, like they're pushing to move the 3D. So it's like, I'm going to affirm and affirm and affirm, and I'm going to affirm at the 3D and be like, change 3D. And that's not embodying the state. That's you, your actual state is one of the 3D needs to change. I'm going to affirm at it to make it change. And I'm going to be super pissed if it doesn't change. And then boom, what happens? It doesn't change because your state was not actually a state of grounded conviction that was about you. I want you to affirm, if you're going to affirm, in a way that's about you, about I deserve to experience the reality I prefer in this moment. And not only do I deserve that, I'm the operant power. And I know that whatever I am experiencing in a way that I assume that it's real, it freaking creates. Like it actually, like I embody it, and then it actually goes out into reality and it reflects back to me. But only after I, the operant power, actually feel, okay, yeah, that felt really good. That was really fun. And I know that I just created reality. Like I want you to respond to your affirmations, or again, the technique you choose to do, just as powerfully and just as emotionally reactively as you do whenever you have a single fear thought. Because the reason that your fearful thoughts that just pop up randomly from your subconscious, the reason that they have so much manifesting power is because you just have one fearful thought and you react like, whoa, that is real. Oh my God, that just freaked me out so much. That thought is real and it's going to manifest, and I can't believe I had that thought, and this is not good. And you only had that thought one time. Imagine if you responded with that kind of conviction to your affirmations, because usually you're saying your affirmations kind of mindlessly, although this is tangent, side note. There is, like, I've definitely seen it in my own life. You totally can mindlessly affirm and see results, like to do the robotic affirming. I've definitely experienced that. But the results that I've experienced from robotic affirming are usually short-lived. So anyway, that's a side note. And when I say mindlessly or robotically affirming, I mean that you're not even very attached to your thoughts. You're just kind of like over and over again, just saying something, and you're not really experiencing it, is the way to put it. You're just kind of like saying the same thing over and over again. And then it's like, boom, you will see, whoa, there's that thing I just said over and over again. But it's usually kind of a flash in the pan, at least from my experience. And so that's just me. But that was a side note. The thing I really hope is landing with you is that I want you to be aware of how you're reacting to your affirmations, like the actual effect the affirmations are having on you. Are your affirmations making you more anxious? Are they just feeding into the anxiety that you were going in with? Because you came into the affirming from a place of, for example, like I said before, like, oh my God, I need to do this. If I don't do this, everything's going to fall apart. I've got to put in all this work. I've got to do all this affirming. If that's your mindset going into it, then that's what's manifesting is, yeah, I don't have it. I'm really anxious about it. I've got to do all this work to get it. And no wonder you're not seeing results. And if your affirming is just supporting, yeah, I've got to keep doing this. I've got to keep doing this. I've got to keep doing this. Then it's like, yeah, I'm not surprised that nothing has changed. So this is why self-honesty as a manifester, like fearless self-honesty, where you are not threatened by anything within you. And so therefore you're able to be very objective, very self-honest about your genuine state in each moment. Having that genuine, fearless self-honesty is so helpful, because if you can stop throughout your day and ask yourself, who am I really being right now? Like, what's really going on with me? Like, what am I really believing right now? And to be unafraid of the answer you get, because the more you're afraid of the answer you get, the more you're legitimizing that the story from that thing you're afraid of is real, because you're only afraid of stories that you think are real. And you're not able to clearly shift out, or I should say easily shift out of it, because when you're really resistant to a thought or a state or a story, you have trouble dropping it because you're so attached to it. There's actually a big part of your identity that's attached to it. And I talk about that, I think, in the video previous to this one. And this actually leads me to my next point, the second part of this. So let's say you are affirming, and let's say maybe you are coming at it from a good state. Like before you started affirming, you kind of touched in with yourself and you reminded yourself of your operant powerness. You asked yourself, how would it feel to really trust that everything that I'm about to say right now is reality? It is right now. It is reality. It's not out in the 3D. It's not out there. It's in me right now. It's really happening. How would it feel to go into this technique that I'm about to do, really knowing that, and really just allow yourself to ask how that would feel and like what that would, like how the power shift might feel inside of you before you go into it. So say you do that and then you start affirming. And let's say that even though you got into a fairly good mindset before you started affirming, as you were affirming, the affirmations were still not landing. Like you could still feel in your body, because that's often how it comes up is somatically. You're affirming, and in your body, you're feeling these like contractions or these like painful things that you just know, like the part of the message behind these things is that, or these feelings is that you don't believe it. Like say maybe there's like a knot in your gut, like you're saying, you know, that you have $1 million, your SP loves you or whatever. And in your gut, you just feel this knot of like, ugh. And you can tell that knot means that I don't really believe this. That is something to explore, because what that is it's physical resistance in your body that you probably need to release some way. And so this is the part where I talk about some stuff that's not actually like a Neville Goddard thing. Like he never talked about this stuff, but it's very, very much supportive of law of assumption stuff. Again, at least in my experience as a manifester, is tapping into where in your body you might have repressed emotions. Because another thing I've seen in a lot of manifestors, especially people who have been trying to manifest for a long time, they've been denying their true emotional experience for so long because they put so much pressure on themselves to be good and like believe and be in a good state and be positive and be confident and never talk about the old story, and like all these things they've learned that they've used to actually really repress their true emotional experience. All of that is still in your body. Like it's just a thing. Like these emotions, they do get stored in the body because the emotions are a physical energy, and when they don't get expressed, they get kind of trapped in your body. So when you are affirming and you're feeling like, I don't feel it, and say there's a part of you that, like, say it's in your chest, like a feeling of like hardness or like, I don't believe this. If it's really strong, I want you to pause and explore it. If it's not too strong, if it's just like a hint, I want you to just acknowledge it. Just like keep doing what you're doing if you want to, but at the same time, acknowledge, be able to hold both. Because this is what I've learned as a manifestor, is being able to hold both in your consciousness, the knowing that actually it is still working out, it is true, and I know it is still, this manifestation is still happening. And at the same time, being able to hold your emotions and not make the emotions wrong, and not make the emotions just like explode with old meanings, because you no longer attach old meanings to your emotions. Instead, you're able to feel them and notice them and even validate them, but not making the feeling mean, oh, that must mean that this is actually not happening, or oh, this must mean that these affirmations don't work or whatever. Like, don't insert any negative assumptions like that, but instead really notice what's in your body. And then in the last video I posted, I actually talk about how to go into maybe a somatic releasing, if you would like to do that, if you feel like after you affirm or whatever, or if you want to pause the affirming, if the feelings in your body are so strong, then don't abandon yourself. Don't try to force yourself to keep affirming. turn towards yourself. This is what it means to have a healthy self-concept, is you're always putting yourself first no matter what. You don't put a manifestation before you, because fulfillment doesn't come from the manifestation. Fulfillment comes from you and your relationship with yourself, your perceptions of yourself, the way you take care of yourself. So you're not going to self-abandon to get the manifestation, because that doesn't work. It just makes everything worse. So if you need to, you can pause and then go watch the last video, because I talk about it more there, and this video is already too long. And you can do a somatic scanning and just intend and ask to really feel this feeling and intend to release it. That's a very simple way. And maybe I'll make another video kind of more about that, because I think this is a bigger issue for a lot of people than we realize, and it's really not talked about, especially when it comes to law of assumption, because law of assumption is very intellectual. It's very heady, and that's good. I'm into that, and I know it works. It really is what you assume, what you genuinely assume is what manifests, and you don't need to fix your feelings. That's why I'm so much about having your feelings, allowing them, but not assigning the old assumptions to the old feelings that you just naturally used to always apply. So being able to feel your sadness or your anger or anxiety or whatever, and you are reclaiming those feelings in a way that they no longer mean that the manifestation isn't working. So play with that a little bit. Okay, so I hope this gave you some clarity on why your millions of affirmations or techniques or whatever it is that you're doing, why that hasn't worked yet and nothing has shifted in your reality. Let me know what other thoughts or questions you have about all of this. And of course, I always like to hear what other things you would like me to talk about. If you have any requests for videos of things that I can talk about, I'm very open to that. I'll tend to take questions or requests that I think apply to a lot of people and not just like a niche problem that's like more personal to you. I'm probably not going to address that, but still just comment what you're thinking and how this landed for you today. And I intend that you really are getting it, that you are the operant power, but it really comes down to what really is your genuine state. Like, how are you really taking care of yourself? Are you really trusting that the fulfillment is unconditional inside of you, and it's your job to healthfully take care of that and maintain it? And then the after effect is that the 3D reflects it to you in very specific ways, which is why we can manifest very specific things in specific people, which is so cool. Anyway, I will see you in my next video. All right, bye.